It's the second fall of 4, not 3, but 4, count them 4, rants to be dropped today and tonight as part of Wrestling Rant, baby! It's time for Laying the Rant Down. It's been a while where we look back at the industry news and some of the big things of note in the world of wrestling. We have 3 news items on AEW and 3 news items on WWE this time around. Laying the Rant Down. Let's kick it off without any further ado, but do stay tuned because later on tonight we have a double shot of Mega Rants on a Monday. Multiverse United 2, that was the big Impact versus New Japan show that dropped last night. And then Saturday show as well, the All-Star Junior Festival 2023, a fantastic show you may not have heard of. We'll be talking about that as part of another Mega Rant tonight here at Wrestling Rants. All right, let's get right into it. First and foremost, we got to talk about some record-breaking news from both AEW and WWE. I guess let's talk about WWE first. WrestleMania 40 tickets went on sale last week, and very similar to last year, over 90,000 tickets were sold this first week of sales. Very impressive. That's over 45,000 per WrestleMania event. Of course, it's a 2-night event once again in Philadelphia. And the big news out of this one is because of the ticket prices being higher than any WrestleMania in history, they have now already not only done their best pre-sales or first week sales, first day sales, all broke records, and the overall gate has eclipsed last year's overall first week gate of over $21.5 million already sold in WrestleMania 40 tickets. Can you believe that? So that has already broken records on that end. I would expect both of these shows will eventually sell out, and that in itself will be a huge gate record for WWE that will not be able to be touched maybe until next year, whenever WrestleMania happens again. Hopefully, WrestleMania 41 in Minneapolis. That is the going rumor right now. I'm hoping for that. So big record, WrestleMania, once again, is a big seller. Haven't got my tickets yet, but I am planning on being in Philadelphia this year for the big one, WrestleMania 40. So the WWE hasn't officially announced how much they have sold in tickets, but it is over their record of these 2-night WrestleManias, which was set last year of $21.5 million. They have already beaten that record, and they have not even come close to selling out either WrestleMania as of yet. Wow. Speaking of selling out, though, or getting close to, big news that happened on Friday as well. All In has become, as of right now, the highest attended pro wrestling event in history. If you take out the Collision in Korea events from North Korea, and some of those things are, I think there's a really old show from eons ago in Greece and things like that that maybe had more, but this is in the modern era, the highest number of tickets, not necessarily sold yet. We're going to talk about that in a second, but this is the biggest crowd in pro wrestling history. Now, there is a lot of details within this, a lot of speculation on is this, or will this end up being the highest paid attendance in wrestling history? We're actually pretty close to answering that question already, and it may be right around the corner. Keep in mind, we have our last week of sales here If All In just 6 days away from now, it's going to be a wild atmosphere. Wish I could be there. I would do anything to be at this show, let me tell you. But let's break down the numbers a little bit. According to WrestleTix, WrestleNomics, Brandon Thurston, these were some of the numbers for some of the kind of where things sit. So, as of Friday, apparently AEW has sold over 81,000 tickets. So actually, as of this weekend, that will put them with the highest number of people in the building. But just back it up just for a second. They are still working, and hopefully this week they'll get there, but they are working towards getting the highest paid attendance in wrestling history. They're awfully close to the record right now. Right now they have around, speculation is 75,700 paid. So there are some comps floating around, roughly about 5,000. Just to take a look back at some other numbers, the paid attendance for SummerSlam 92 at Wembley Stadium is apparently, this is according to Wrestling Observer, 78,927. Or there's so much confusion in these numbers because is that paid? It apparently is paid according to the Wrestling Observer, and they didn't have many comps at SummerSlam 92. The final number ended up being 79,127. So, doing that math, AEW All In has already encompassed those numbers as far as a total number in attendance or at the show. It has not beaten the total paid attendance according to these numbers. Let's talk about WrestleMania 3, for example. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts on the controversy of these numbers. This is the best we can ascertain, is that 75,800 paid for WrestleMania 3. So All In is just almost ready to beat that handily. They probably already have by the time this rant drops at 75,700 paid as of last tally. Now, the total number in attendance, this has been very controversial, is that WrestleMania 3 had around 78,000, maybe 127. That seems to be the prevailing opinion. So with that said, once again, All Out has surpassed the total number that is paid and unpaid. They've beaten SummerSlam 92, they've beaten WrestleMania 3, and they may have already beaten WrestleMania 32 in Dallas. Let me break it down a little bit for you. According to the Arlington Police Department, through the turnstiles at WrestleMania 32 was 80,709 fans through the turnstiles. Now, this may not include suites. Also, I was at that WrestleMania, and there was a lot of issues with the automatic ticket, where they scan your tickets. There may have been some issues with that, so we may have lost some numbers that way too. Let's just say, for shits and giggles, there was 82,000 people at AT&T Center in Dallas for WrestleMania 2. If that's the case, All In still has just a little bit of leeway to go to get the total paid and unpaid for that, but it may have already surpassed it. If that 80,709 is accurate, then they've already surpassed it because we're at 81,000 plus right now for All In. Now, the paid attendance for WrestleMania 32 is the question mark. It is anywhere from 74,000 to maybe 80,000 or so. So, who knows where things fit for the paid attendance wise. One thing is for certain, they are not going to beat the overall money gate for WrestleMania 32. That is a record that is going to not be broken for quite some time, more likely. But that's kind of where things stand. The last week here of ticket sales are going to be interesting. I think it's suffice to say, I think he could easily get a couple more thousand in there, paid or unpaid, and that would put him over the top to 83, 84,000, and that would most certainly be the biggest crowd in pro wrestling history this Sunday at All In. Wow. It's going to be a spectacle, folks. No doubt about it. So we'll probably be doing another Laying the Rant Down this coming weekend. We have some preview and predictions of the show and a final, or close to final estimate on where the ticket numbers stand, probably around Saturday or so. We'll see where they are according to WrestleTix, where if you want to check out WrestleTix on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it now, they're pretty comprehensive and pretty damn, I feel like, accurate, and their integrity is good. So keep your eyes peeled to WrestleTix if you want to keep updated on the All In numbers. Let's talk about a couple more AEW news items, and then we'll go back to WWE. What about Cash Wheeler, folks? You may have heard of it already. One half of the AEW Tag Champions, FTR, got arrested late last week, charged with felony aggravated assault with a firearm. This is a serious charge, particularly if he gets found guilty in it and he gets a felony, and they make it hard for him to travel to different countries. As it is right now, because the actual case has not gone to court yet, he is free to travel wherever he wants, so he will be at All In London. There is no indication that they are changing anything with this match. I do wonder if maybe this charge may have an effect on the finish. If FTR was scheduled to go over, maybe they're not because of the situation. Hard to say. Time will tell. From the information on the situation, it didn't sound good. Apparently somebody was driving, and according to them, Cash Wheeler was driving erratically in through lanes, speeding, things like that, honking at everybody. Ended up apparently passing people on the right side of the road, which wasn't an actual lane. And then according to this victim, he or she claimed that Cash Wheeler actually slowed down next to them and pointed a gun at them for some reason. So I don't know. The story seems a little sketchy on some level. I don't really understand it. I guess we'll see what happens with it. Also, there are some rumors going around the wrestling world that particularly at All In, there is a match, Stadium Stampede match, where the Blackpool Combat Club will have 3 mystery partners. There has been a lot of rumors on who these partners could be. There's been some talk about Zack Sabre Jr. There's been some talk about one Nigel McGuinness, both UK stars that would make sense. And there's another rumor floating around about a potential return of one or both of these guys, formerly Pride and Powerful, that may be returning. You know who we're talking about, Santana and Ortiz. In fact, there has been a report that Ortiz was scheduled to work some sort of independent event in the United States this coming weekend, and he has been pulled for an AEW commitment. So there is a lot of rumors that he will be at least one of the competitors, and it does make sense. Because if you recall, he had a feud starting up with Eddie Kingston that really never got off the ground fully. So it would make sense, and maybe he returns here as a counter to Eddie Kingston in this match. Now, there's some rumors as well that Santana and Ortiz had a really bad falling out, and there is no way in hell that these two are teaming together again. To that I say, anything is possible in wrestling, particularly this situation. I could see Santana and Ortiz at least team up on this event, and maybe even afterwards one or the other guys turn on each other and they do a program. It all depends on if they are even willing to work together in a program, much less a tag team. So we'll keep our eyes posted on this one, but I could see either Santana, Ortiz, or both of them show up at All In London. All right, going to WWE, a few items of note. Edge had his potentially last match in WWE this past Friday on SmackDown from Toronto against Sheamus. It was a great match. After the match, Edge claimed in front of the crowd, this didn't air on TV, but he claimed in front of the crowd that this was his last match in Toronto. But he did not say, "This is my last match in wrestling." There was some rumors and speculation before this match that maybe this was going to be the final match for Edge. It doesn't appear that's the case. His contract officially expires with WWE at the end of September. He has not re-signed. There is some speculation and rumors that could this mean that he is AEW bound? It would not shock me. Obviously, with Christian and AEW, and the fact that when Edge was starting to consider returning to the ring, his first thought was AEW. In fact, I think he got his first actual offer on the table from AEW. Once he made contact with AEW and got that deal, that's when WWE got in the mix. They matched the offer, actually gave him a better offer, thus he stayed with WWE. So I don't think this is out of the woods and out of the realm of possibility that Edge could go to AEW. I think it's very possible, and just as possible, Edge getting a sweetheart deal from WWE, maybe like a kind of sort of a Legends deal of sorts, mixed in with a short-term contract, where perhaps he could have his actual final match at WrestleMania this year in Philadelphia. Very possible. Very, very possible, too. So I'd say one way or another, we're going to see Edge back in the ring. The question is, which company are we going to see him in? Also, to close out this Laying the Rant Down, we got some industry news on some old ECW trademarks of pay-per-views that have been filed by WWE. This includes Hardcore Heaven, Massacre on 34th Street, which was ECW's actually last pay-per-view, Barely Legal, which was ECW's first pay-per-view, as well as CyberSlam. Now, history has shown us that a lot of times WWE recycles a lot of these pay-per-view names for their own brand. Great American Bash was an actual WWE pay-per-view for a long time until the NXT brand took that over, and now we every year have a Great American Bash as part of NXT programming. Could we see perhaps something like that occur where some of these titles get used for the NXT brand again? Maybe. I don't really see anything of substance else other than maybe CyberSlam. I could see that being actually even a main roster special show, kind of in the same vein as Taboo Tuesday, Cyber Sunday. Now we get CyberSlam, where I think in the day and age of social media, we can get a nice, accurate voting kind of situation on multi-platforms for a show, which would have the fans pick the matches, stipulations, etc., etc. So I think CyberSlam is a possibility on either main roster or NXT. Hardcore Heaven as well. I can maybe see that as an all-hardcore show, again, on either NXT or up on the main roster. Very possible, very possible. Now, as far as Barely Legal and Massacre on 34th Street, I don't know if we'll see them on the main roster or in NXT as titles for special shows. But I wonder, WrestleMania will be in Philadelphia this year. I wonder if maybe they're going to try to revive the ECW brand for like one night only, or maybe a couple nights during that week or weekend in Philadelphia for maybe a Barely Legal event, or maybe Massacre on 34th Street. I'm just throwing that out as a possibility. I think that is more than likely. With some ECW homaging and, bringing ECW back for Philadelphia. We'll see where they go with it, but it was very interesting, I thought, that those trademarks were dropped just recently here. I think it was like August 11th for those particular brand names from the ECW brand. Alrighty, we got some mega rants to do coming up later tonight. Don't forget, Multiverse United to the All-Star Junior Festival 2023. Both, ironically enough, from the ECW Arena. Coming your way later tonight as part of Mega Rant Monday, where we're going to do a double clothesline on Mega Rants tonight as part of Wrestling Wednesday.